Ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Nasser. Now, recent news said that the head of the Israeli intelligence due to the failure that took place on October 7th and the slow response to the attacks that took place on Israel, but he stated that he wanted to stay in office up until for the first period of the war, and he thinks now is the time to step down. He will still be in office up until a replacement is found. But how does this change the situation within the Israeli administration? Does it weaken it? Is this the first of a series, maybe, resignations? The fall of a house of cards, if you may call it, or does it just makes the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu more hot-headed about continuing with the war plan?
This can be read every direction. First of all, the message here is what? The real message is a message that we learned a very, very long time ago. Assassination of President Kennedy. Of this incident, Prime Minister of Japan, the attack. There is no security system that is 100%, proof. Mm-hmm. Some are much better than others, but it does not exist a security system that you could actually treat that system and make, the whole thing collapse. Which means what in that context? It means something very simple. The solution, the Palestinian solution, can never be resolved with a security solution. It has to have a peaceful solution. It's as simple as that. It has been going, that conflict has been going now for almost 75 years. And, the number of deaths on both sides, and I think Egypt, when we had the peace treaty, we have actually, it was a very good speech written by Mohammed Hassanin Heikal that was delivered by the late President Sadat in the Israeli Knesset. It is time to stop the bleeding on both sides. Unless, put on aside for a second the perspective of Netanyahu and that he is an extreme right wing. But this problem has no security or military solution. This has to be resolved on a negotiation table and real negotiation. It has to be really resolved. It is not about running away with a piece of paper that you either never executed or it is not executable in the first place. We've seen Madrid, we've seen Oslo. It has both sides. Maybe, I'm a little bit idealistic in what I'm saying, but this is the real solution. And Egypt did that, okay? Egypt, we've been in wars with Israel since 1948, since it started. We came to a solution that we are celebrating, by the way, nowadays with the final control of Sinai on the 25th of April, with negotiation, with political and civilized ways of doing things. We recognized maybe early on in the game that wars will never solve it. All what's going to do, one time, one round, that side is going to kill a little bit more, the other round is going to kill. But everybody has a family, whether Israeli or Palestinian. Everybody has loved ones. We need to stop the bloodshed on both sides, because there will always be retaliation, maybe of different magnitudes. But we need really to come to a real solution. And I think the President Sisi has played a key role convincing the European communities. And we've seen of this concept that the solution of this problem is never in security, never in sending more advanced weapons that will kill more people to Israel. The solution is for them to have a peaceful solution. The Palestinians said they are open to a two-state solution. They are open to have a country non-armed. They are not a threat to Israel in any way, sort of form. And you know, it's up to the international community to push in that direction. Otherwise, this conflict, which is not the first one, it is probably the bloodiest one. But every 3-4 years, for the past, I don't know how many years, probably 3-4 decades, we have one of these, you know. They kill in one way or another, they kill some Israelis, Israel retaliates, they go into Gaza, they hit here, and then they pull back. You know, the south of Lebanon, the same story. And also what that, in my opinion, short-sighted approach from Netanyahu and his government, did they give a foothold to Iran in the region? Iran never had a presence before in the region. But with what's going on, they give her this, you know, gift on a silver platter.
Yes. Well, speaking of Iran and speaking of the Egyptian efforts now, with the recent involvement of Iran and the missiles and the shelling, does that put Israel in a much more vulnerable situation that it would actually give Egypt, along with the other mediators, a better chance to reach some sort of a deal? Or do you feel with this, these Iranian shellings and attack, did it torpedo the Egyptian efforts in really trying to negotiate and reach some sort of a balanced deal that would make all parties somehow happy?
Well, to start with, I'm not sure if we should call this shelling or just a show, because if you send, I don't know, 300 drones and missiles, and you haven't even cut somebody's nail or a finger, then something is not right here, okay? Either that you know what you're doing, and you did that on purpose, so why did you do it? You know, is it just for propaganda and for internal consumption for your own, you know, to stabilize your own regime, or, you know, or that you didn't know what you're doing, which is going to be much worse. And you are have such poor control over your weaponry that actually you spend all this weaponry and you achieved absolutely nothing. A big fat zero. You literally did not hurt a cat in Israel. Not that I wanted them to hurt a cat, but I think this move, probably it was for local consumption, but if we look at the scale and the context, I think it was very counterproductive. It fueled the fire of Netanyahu. It fueled his story that, you know, we're Israel, we're here in the middle of so many different countries that they want to throw us in the sea. And, you know, it gave him that lead in the dialogue, you know, once more, that, you know, we're being attacked. We need to be defended. We need your support. And I think this took us a couple of steps, or maybe even more, back from where President Sisi has almost convinced people to sign on the dotted line that the solution is the two-state solution. Okay? And Palestinians have every single right to live like any other people on the planet. I think it fired back. I don't think it achieved anything, neither militarily or otherwise, or politically. I think the only person or the only political gain was on the wrong side, that I hope that the Iranians did not aim to actually make him benefit from that. I think there was a lot of internal pressure in Iran that, you keep talking your old talk, but zero action. So he wanted to do some action. And what happened? He picked up a fight with Jordan. Jordan, who's like, has a majority from a Palestinian order, including their queen. And, this is the solution to the Palestinian problem. You pick up a fight with Jordan, and a political issue. And what did you expect Jordan to do? To let your missiles flying their air spaces without exerting any sovereignty, any control over the airspace? I mean, did you arrange anything with them? Did you coordinate with them? I think it was a unilateral decision. I think it was mostly show, propaganda, and mostly for their internal consumption, internal use. But the byproduct or the side effect of that I think it diluted the effort. It diluted the efforts the President Sisi was taking and really got very advanced in this discussion. And the two-state solution was almost, a fait accompli for most European leaders, which are very important in the direction. We saw the reaction of the South American leaders as well, especially Brazil. So I think it was not a good move by any calculation that has to do with the region or Gaza. Maybe they have a different agenda internally. That's their own business.
Well, one final question, because we are out of time now. Do you feel that you kept saying that a diplomatic solution is the only way, a two-state solution with 1967 borders? All world leaders are concurring on such a decision. We've seen President Emmanuel Macron with President Sisi, also the same thing with Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish Prime Minister. But do you see such a deal, a two-state solution, being reached under the current Israeli administration, or do you think that such a solution would be actually feasible with the following administration?
Let me put it this way. Well, the veto didn't come from Israel, it came from the US. The time is very difficult for any US president to put, especially in the election year. The election is like few weeks away. And to take such a decision is extremely, extremely difficult for any US president. The anticipation or the expectation of President Trump coming in doesn't really help. Having said that, it is not all black. If we recall, Menachem Begin was as extremist as Netanyahu, or maybe even more. Menachem Begin, his history with the Haganah is very well known. And yet he's the one who signed on the peace treaty with Egypt. So we have to continue our efforts, our diplomatic effort. We have to stay optimistic and hope for the best.
Yes. Well, hoping for the best and trying to wait for the light at the end of the tunnel is the main thing that we actually should be waiting for, along with all the developments that are taking place on the ground, and hopefully more humanitarian aid would be allowed in to alleviate the sufferings of the Gazan people. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. Before we go, I'd like to thank Mr. Ahmed El Leithy, the writer and economics and strategic management international consultant. Mr. Nassif, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Always a pleasure, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Al International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.